before she began collecting banners, Bev Plocki grew up in Pennsylvania in the 1970s, where she says most young women were encouraged to play piano or join Girl Scouts.
In terms of other organized sports for women, it just didn't exist the same way that it did for men.
Given that circumstance, Plocki's exposure to the sport happened quite by accident.
I began to learn from a neighbor, another friend who was going to YMCA and taking classes, and she would come home and teach me the things that she learned. And my parents realized that I had a talent for it.
That talent manifested itself into a remarkable coaching career. 32 years, 24 Big Ten titles, and last year, the program's first ever national championship.
We've made a tremendous amount of progress. I mean, look at where we are right now. Thanks to an incredibly generous donor, Don Shepard, who is someone that recognized inequities and stood up and said, I want to donate, but I want to donate primarily to women's and non-revenue programs where my resources can make the biggest impact.
Plocki says it wasn't until the end of her college career when she fully realized the divide between men's and women's sports.
Really recognizing and paying attention to, wow, there are an incredible amount of disparities. Why do the men get to fly when we have to rent, a 15-passenger van and drive through the snow in our meets in January and February?
Bev cites an incident where she reserved a venue through the proper channels to host a meet, only to be told she wouldn't get it. A men's program requested it at the same time, only that program had not gone through the process to secure the shared facility.
And I said, explain this to me. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was approved for this facility. We scheduled a meet. I've hired judges, and now this other administrator is telling me that I'm going to have to reschedule my meet, and that's not okay.
Plocki says the original response was harsh, and she was essentially told to fall in line.
I was absolutely told, you should be happy to be here. You should worry more about whether people like you. Yeah, fall in line.
She says a turning point for women's athletics at Michigan came in 1988 when former football coach Bo Schembechler took over as athletic director.
So he tasked Jack Weidenbach with do what we need to do. We made all of the women's coaches full-time coaches. I was one of the first coaches hired as a full-time coach that didn't have, I listened to Hutch talk about she was 50% secretarial, 50% coaching. I didn't have to do any of that.
In order to further evolve, Plocki says a commitment to promote is still lacking.
What women need is the opportunity to prove that we can also sell tickets, but you have to put the same investment into the women that's been put into the men for decades. Let's be very clear about the fact that even though women have made a lot of progress, the reality of the situation is that there's never been a bigger disparity. And I don't know if people fully recognize that.
Bev says one of her most influential role models was her college coach, Linda Burdett, who opened her eyes to a much broader view of athletics and of leadership.
She taught me how to see the big picture in terms of everything that we do and the decisions that we make. There's a part of coaching that is all about what you need to do to win championships, and there's a part of coaching that is more important than that even, which is about each individual student athlete and building them, mentoring them into being strong, independent young women.
In her 33rd season and with no sign of letting up, Plocki says she'll keep working to advance women's opportunities in athletics.
I see my role in all of this is to continue to do what I have done for the last 32 years, which is to not be afraid to stand up and use my voice to be heard when I feel like there are discrepancies or inequities.
A fight she has proven to be very good at. For MGO Blue TV, I'm Ed Kingerski.